you should always make your notes based on the end product that you need. The end product is that it should help you, and I keep repeating this every time. The idea is not to write the best answer, the idea is to write the answer better than your other aspirants. So one of the ways to do it is value addition, and तुम्हारा जो डेटा है, डेटा पॉइंट्स. I'll give a personal example. GS1 paper of my CSE 2021 मेंस जो था, उसमें मैंने लगभग 13-20 क्वेश्चन तो उसमें टोटल मिला के मैंने 13 मैथ्स बनाए थे.
In the next segment, when Abhijit joins us, we are going to discuss, I'm just going to elaborate here what you can expect out of this webinar. We're going to understand how to make notes, and from Topper strategy, you saw a documentation of Aditya Pandey made it, and we're going to see how Abhijit Ray makes it. Just 1 minute. All right, and we're going to understand the importance of note making in UPSC. What does that essentially mean is that we don't know the importance when we just start. All right, but the initial 2-3 months when we have just started the preparation, it's equally important to understand the nuances of note making, right? Because we are actually preparing for that time. So we are going to understand what UPSC expects out of its aspirant and how to incorporate that in note making. The difference between good notes and bad notes. All right, for an aspirant, while they are studying, while they are preparing notes, might not be, it might not come easily to you, but we're going to discuss what are good notes and bad notes. Building blocks of UPSC, of topper level UPSC notes. That means from the foundation level, like from the very beginning, how to make notes, and also the conclusion of it. So why are we making notes? To write, answers and mains, to clear prelims. So we're going to discuss that at length. We're going to see our rankers' live note-making skills, all right? And we're going to see how to use those notes essentially in answer writing. So, like I said before, we're not going to give you a recording of this session, so it's best that you take screenshots and make relevant notes right now. And we are going to give you a toolkit, and we're going to attach that in the chat box by the end. And also, a very important announcement, in the super mentorship batch, we have limited seats, so we are also opening registration. So our super mentorships are Abhijit Ray and Aditya Pandey and many more super mentors. So we are going to attach the link in the chat box. You can start registering for that. Right. So let me just quickly introduce, I think Abhijit has joined with us.
Yeah, hi Vasudha.
Hi Abhijit. So Abhijit is our ranker and also our super mentor. So over to you, Abhijit. Please tell our joiners, our audiences, how you have been making notes and what worked for you.
Yeah, so I think as Aditya mentioned before, and as Vasundhara, you have been mentioning, I think note making is probably one of the most important things, and that precisely because it 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 acts as your companion in the last few days just before the exam, when your mental state is at your worst. So I'll not get into so much stories, but let's get to the PPT that's there. Vasundhara, can we have the PPT from, I think, slide number 10, which you were showing?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of common sense points are there, but what I have seen more often than not is that common sense is not that common, and I mean, people tend to miss out on. So I think you have to just put this also on the table, that why is note making important? First of all, it organizes you. It helps you structure things. It helps you condense ideas, and most importantly, it helps you in revision and consolidation. And the more you revise and consolidate, you're able to interlink topics. And when you are able to interlink topics, that is the time when people say, right, you have to write, let's say, uh, uh, holistic answer. Uh, uh, that only comes towards the end of your preparation, when you have some of the content in your mind. So, or most of the notes revised and consolidated in your mind. So I'll go to the next slide. Vasundhara, next slide, please. Vasundhara, are you there? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Before that, I just want to ask, everyone can hear me, right? Because someone just mentioned that my voice is not audible. It's audible, right? Okay.
Yes, it's audible.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, so I personally believe that no, previous slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I personally believe that you work very hard in selecting the right sources. We'll not get into what are the sources for what are the subjects, but we are talking about note making in general. So you work very hard in selecting the source or the sources, and then you make your notes, and then you get into the note making cycle, but you exit out of the note making cycle after you think you have covered it. It is very important to exit out of the note making cycle, because what normally happens is people keep studying from multiple sources and their notes keep increasing. It's just the same content probably that they're reading, and this happens in more in static subjects. फॉर एग्जाम्पल मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री, मतलब 5-6 जगह से नोट बना लिया, बहुत बड़े हो गए, बट अगर तुम एक्चुअली देखो उसको तो कई बार मेनी थिंग्स आर रिपीटेड, सो वो नहीं करना है. यू सिलेक्ट योर सोर्सेज, you work very hard to make the best possible note, but then get out of the note making cycle and get into the revision and practice cycle, because it is revision and practice that only helps in this exam. Again, I know I'm talking a lot of common sense stuff, but I have realized through time that it's very important to keep repeating this, and it's important to keep repeating it to yourself also, so that, because it's very easy to get diverted, because there's a lot of material out there, a lot of information, misinformation out there. So yeah, I mean, again, some very intuitive stuff like visual tools will help you. Of course, integration of GS and current affairs, static with some current affairs content that you can write down कि इस topic पे current affairs से related क्या है अपने note में लिख लिया. Uh, yeah, it's an evolving thing. Again, when I said that you get to get out of the note making cycle, what I mean is that the main base of your notes is ready. Is just some value additions here and there that you are doing. For example, you have read a news, and then for example, Israel Hamas war, you would have made your notes कि history क्या है, क्या क्या चल रहा है. अब let's say some very interesting news come, you, it's just one paragraph of actually a value addition new thing that you need to learn. तो उसको तुम condense करके अपने notes में add कर दिया, not that you have written the entire notes again. So of course must be handy. Some people do digital, some people don't do digital. I tried digital, didn't work for me, but again, it's completely up to you how notes you want to make it. I had pen and paper, the old school method.
So
So
Abhijit, if
yes,
you had any suggestions for students that want to make digital notes, your peers might be making, or do you have any suggestions for them?
I have known many people using OneNote. I
Okay.
know people using Microsoft Notes.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you, but matlab, get into the habit of finalizing things. These ancillary things should be finalized in the
Right.
journey. I mean, it's not that कि जो मैंने गलती किया था कि at least before my serious attempts, in the first 2 attempts, I spent most of my time in experimenting only. ठीक है, there
Yeah.
was a lot of less time because I was working also. But what I'm trying to say is finalize these ancillary things and get going. इस पे एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन जितना कम करो उतना आसान है, और ज्यादा दिमाग नहीं लगाना. मतलब people, I don't know, मतलब have blog posts on how which pen to use and all these things. These
Mm-hmm.
things are useless. मतलब whatever works for you, yeah.
Right.
So but stick to it. So yeah, can you go to the next slide, please?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. I don't need to explain you why this notes is bad. It's an example of bad notes because first of all, you will not be able to filter out what is the relevant things from here. What is the, it will be very, you should always make your notes based on the end product that you need. The end product is that it should help you, and I keep repeating this every time, you should help you use up Aditya's notes, right? This pen, it should help you in the last few days. It should,
Right.
it's okay, matlab, it's helping you in this time when exam pressure is not there, your exam is not tomorrow. But when your exam is like 1 week later, 2 weeks later, and you have 100 things to revise, 100,000 of topics to revise, उस time पे whatever notes you've made, how notes you have made, all these things should stand you in good stead. That is how you should make your notes. So if we can go to the next slide. Okay. Yeah. These notes are bad for these specific reasons. It is very hard to revise, like I mentioned. Next slide, please. Again, these are lengthy, and yeah, many students ask me that I'm unable to shorten my notes because I like end up copy pasting from the books. I believe that there is a time when you should be doing note making, not before that. In the sense, like for example, Lakshmikant. Lakshmikant, you should not be making notes in the first after just reading it once, because things are not internalized in your brain. You read it a few times, things are there in your brain. Maybe give a small mock test or something, and then you know what are the things that is not coming in your head, जिसके लिए तुम्हें notes अलग से चाहिए. There will be many things in your Lakshmikant जो एक दो बार तीन बार पढ़ने के बाद तुम्हारे दिमाग में बैठ जाएगा वैसे ही. So then your notes become very useful, and then you are able to write small and get the best out of the notes, which is not done in this case. For example, ये जो Montagu claims form reforms बनाया है उसने, देखो provincial council was enlarged is one topic, ठीक है, and then if you see the left वाला page, and then it was given autonomy over subjects like, ये जो autonomy कौन कौन से subject पे दिया गया था, ये दूसरा point है. इसको एक अलग point पे लिखो. इतने words लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है. इतना time भी नहीं होगा तुम्हारे पास कि इतना मतलब तुम you are writing full sentences and everything. uh, just like broadly giving you some small examples. Can we go to the next slide, please?
Yes.
Yeah. Next. Yeah. History, especially for history, modern history, as well as in fact all the three histories. This timeline becomes very important. तो notes तुम जब बनाओगे timeline के हिसाब से बनाओगे, theme based बनाओगे ना, तो things get internalized better. So that is what is meant here. Can we go next slide? Yeah. For example, in the India Nepal visit, right? So it's very important to know that 2015 में economic blockade हुआ था. Why? Because constitution was made in Nepal, and the Madhesis were not given good enough rights. India was not happy with this outcome. So economic blockade कर दिया था. So it's an important point. So you should know when this happened, as related to what is happening now. So that's what I mean by timeline. So can we go to the next slide? Yeah, this is very important. Whenever you make notes, try to, so your note should help you in writing mains answers. Also, obviously, not from a content perspective, but also from keywords perspective. So, for example, these keywords, wherever these keywords come in your, let's say, in the editorial or जहाँ से भी तुम notes बना रहे हो, ऐसे जो catchy keywords है, इसको लिख के रखो, and these help you in writing good enough answers. For example, all these four keywords are from this Krishi Sinchai Yojana, this Hargal Yojana, right? The irrigation thing. हर खेत को पानी, सॉरी. सो उसमें कोई भी करंट अफेयर्स देखोगे, उसमें ये कीवर्ड्स तुम्हें दिखेगा लगभग, वो भी अच्छा करंट अफेयर्स का कोई अगर तुम वो देखोगे तो note these keywords, and next time when you're writing something about agriculture, some mains answer about agriculture, then you try to put this inside, but it will not come that easily. It's easier said than done. It will come only when you are able to constantly revise, when you're up to date with whatever you're doing. That won't happen initially, but it will happen eventually with time when तो बेसिकली ऐसे होता है कि करंट अफेयर्स में एटलीस्ट मेंस रिलेटेड ना एक टाइम आता है जिसके बाद थिंग्स सॉर्ट ऑफ स्टार्ट रिपीटिंग, इन द सेंस मतलब यू हैव गैदर्ड इनफ कंटेंट, इनफ नॉलेज, इनफ नोट्स दैट broad जो issues है which are going on in the country, in the world, that you have sort of covered. Whatever is coming now is just an addition to, or small value addition to, the existing thing. So उस टाइम पे तुम्हारा रिवीजन प्रैक्टिस बहुत हेल्प करेगा टू इनकलकेट दीज इन योर आंसर्स. ठीक है. कैन वी गो टू द नेक्स्ट? ओके. या नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. This is again also very important. The idea of answer writing is to keep your answer better, a notch higher than the rest. because the idea is not to write the best answer. The idea is to write the answer better than your other aspirants. So one of the ways to do it is value addition, and तुम्हारा जो data है, data points, these provide very good value addition. So keep noting data, categorize the data that you are writing, so that when you are revising, you are able to categorize in your mind, and you're able to, like, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, implement and execute them in the right places. So categorization, have a notebook only for data, and sort of categorize your data points and keep revising.
So,
Can we go to
Abhijit, a question
yeah.
here, like so students are actually confused कि कितना data use करना है per answer. So they don't want to throw too much of data as well. So, like, what is that ideal number of data that एक answer में, mains के answer में आप डाल सकते हो?
It depends on the nature of the question.
Okay.
For example, इससे पहले हम वो इंडिया नेपाल को देख रहे थे, राइट? उसमें मान लो एक क्वेश्चन आया कि बस सिंपल क्वेश्चन आया कि क्रिटिकली एनालाइज इंडिया नेपाल रिलेशंस. कभी आएगा नहीं इतना इजी, बट मान लो आया. तो उसमें when you're talking about the economic aspect, then you can mention the number कि इंडिया नेपाल का जो bilateral trade है वो कितना है. So that is some data that you would have picked up while making the notes. Then उसमें और क्या data हो सकता है? जो year है वो, that year when the blockade happened, that was a setback in the relation between the two countries. That is another number. So it's a very subjective question, that how much data is to be used. Again, programs like Samachar Manthan, where there is weekly tests and all these things, these are specifically designed so that you are able to hone your answer writing skills. And I've told this multiple times that please take that seriously. Please give the tests, whoever is enrolled in that, and it will really help you hone your answer writing skills. These questions that you have, right? These are valid questions, but these are questions that everyone must find the answers to themselves. There is no one is stopping you from writing a lot of data, putting in a lot of data, backing every point with some data. No one is stopping you. The only person stopping you is you. Your ability to hold that information in your mind, your ability to reproduce it in the exam, your ability to finish the paper by putting so much information. So for everyone, it's a personalized journey. So there is no one stopping you. There is no like too much data if you're writing it in the right points. But again, the only limitation is you. So you have to understand that in your own journey, and the only way you can do it is क्या बोलते हैं, answer writing practice.
So Abhijit mentioned Samachar Manthan program. We'll put more details in the chat box. So, okay, next slide.
Yeah. Yeah, government reports and publications, very important, because these are क्या बोलते हैं, no one can cross question this, because these are government data points. These are government reports and publications, which an economic survey is a great source for economic data and all these things. So commission reports, some क्या बोलते हैं, committee was made, the Baba Kalyani committee, for example, and all these things. So these are used to back your argument. So these do add value, and these sort of show that you have made the effort. And this is a government exam, I mean, government body that is conducting the exam. So you have to write the answer from a bureaucratic perspective, and government reports and publications are the best way to do. Can we go to the next?
Yes.
Yeah, for example, here someone has made the notes, and it's from the
So all of these are rankers notes. So our Civilsdaily is rankers notes.
Yeah. Yeah. So as you can see, this guy has circled it. He has क्या बोलते हैं, तुम्हारा highlight किया है. So the thing is, everyone has their own way of making notes. There is no one right way of making notes, but you have to understand, very broadly speaking, that your notes should help you in the worst phase of your mental state in this journey, which is in the last 1 month or 3 weeks before the exam. उस time पे, if you are not able to revise from your notes, then your note making exercise has been a complete waste. That's as simple as that. So वो सोच के करो. अब उसमें बहुत सारी चीजें आती है, तुम्हारा सेल्फ डिस्कवरी की, तुम्हें कैसा तरीके का नोट से दिमाग में जल्दी मतलब बेटर रहता है, रिटेन होता है, तुम्हारा आंसर राइटिंग स्पीड कितना है, वो डेटा कितना लिखना है, वो सब सेल्फ डिस्कवरी का जर्नी. फॉर एवरीवन इज डिफरेंट, बट दिस बेसिक थिंग इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. इट शुड होल्ड यू इन गुड स्टेट इन द लास्ट फ्यू डेज बिफोर द एग्जाम. If showing information through maps, I'll give a personal example. GS1 paper, uh, GS1 पेपर ऑफ माय CSE 2021 मेंस जो था, उसमें मैंने लगभग 13-20 क्वेश्चन, तो उसमें टोटल मिला के मैंने 13 मैथ्स बनाए थे, इंडिया और वर्ल्ड को मिला के। देयर वर मेनी क्वेश्चन जिसके मुझे आंसर नहीं आते थे, उसमें थोड़ा सा स्पेस भरने के लिए या कुछ करने के लिए आई आई यूज वर्ल्ड मैप्स आल्सो। तो मैप इज अ वेरी क्विक way to like put the data forward, but it's not easy in the sense, matlab your map making skills, obviously you should be able to make the India map in 10 seconds. It is said world map in 15 seconds, ऐसे करके practice करो उसको। exact नहीं बनाना है, but you get the point, right? It should be a representative diagram. No one is expecting you to be a cartographer or something. So okay, this is a very interesting कि civil disobedience movement को map के through दिखाया है। ये तुम्हारे नोट्स में अगर है, दिस विल हेल्प यू। मतलब स्पेटियल अगर डेटा है ना तुम्हारे पास रिप्रेजेंटेशन, दैट विल हेल्प यू इन रिमेम्बरिंग इट वेल आल्सो। लाइक दिस इज मच बेटर देन जस्ट हैविंग इट रिटन ऑन व्हिच पार्ट्स ऑफ इंडिया व्हाट हैपेंड। सो कैन वी गो टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड? फ्रेमवर्क और स्ट्रक्चर्ड अप्रोच टू नोटिंग, ओके या कैन वी गो टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड? Pastel approach, political, economic, social, technological, environmental, legal. This is one of the best things that came out of my Samachar Manthan practices. कि I learned how to do pastel approach. हर जगह लगाता था मैं, कोई आंसर का कंटेंट नहीं मिल रहा होता था तो पेस्टल एंगल से सोचो कि कुछ ना कुछ मिलेगा, ऐसे में लगाओ, everywhere. And one of the good things, as you can see in the next slide, can we go to the next slide? Is that the notes that one gets in this thing, Samachar Manthan Current Affairs, is formatted in the form of pastel. So that sort of helps you uh, help make your notes. But it's a very powerful tool actually, the pastel approach, or the multifaceted approach. It helps you brainstorm very well. And also, if you make your notes that way, it helps you remember also very well. So one thing that I've generally realized is in this exam, the more you categorize and divide things, or let's say segregate things and study, the better retention you're able to have. And this is across the board. I've discussed with my friends also. It becomes easier, and like for the brain also, that is much easier to inculcate. So always segregate, categorize, and study notes, current affairs, everything. Can we go to the next? Yeah, tabular form, again another way to symbolize or represent data. For example, मेरा जो political notes है उसमें जो constitutional statutory bodies है उसमें पूरा इसी के बना हुआ है, इसी का भी इसका भी बना हुआ है ये उसी पे। तो वो table really helps you to quickly revise. Again, you are thinking from the perspective of quick revision on the last few days before the exam. Then your notes should come useful. So yeah, can we go to the next one? Cases and judgment. यहाँ पे क्या बोलते हैं इसको? I forgot what this spike diagram, or what is it called? इससे you can quickly symbolize data. Again, these can be used in the notes as well as can be used in the answers also. But answers के लिए you need to practice first. You need to practice a lot. ठीक है? फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं जो इससे पहले जो डायग्राम था, जो स्पाइक वाला डायग्राम था, हब एंड स्पोक वाला जो डायग्राम था, that I used to use that in my GS4 stakeholders, अगर एक्सप्लेन करना है केस स्टडी में, तो that is very useful. I used to do that there. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah, recommendations of various committees, again a very powerful value addition. If you can mention the recommendation of some committee in something, then no one can question. It's like कि इतना मलिमट कमिटी ने बोल दिया कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट को ज्यादा दिन खुला होना चाहिए, then that wisdom no one will question. Even the UPSC examiner will question. So that's a sure shot way to make your point. But again, revision, practice, being able to put that in the right way comes with practice. Next. Same thing I was mentioning, Baba Kalyani committee. So ACZQ, but they have he has given the committee has given recommendations. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah. Uh, Again, the idea of making your answer stand out from others. Uh, no one is stopping you from using a small quote in your GS answer as well. I have done. Uh, Ethics may it's very useful sometimes. Essay it's done every now and then, but then try to categorize the different topics by different quotations. That is another value addition. For example, mm, in ethics, if a question on RTI or let's say GS, two question on RTI comes, and second ARC has said that the RTI is a master key to good governance. So this is a very beautiful way of putting it. How important that you can always put in your answer. You can in fact start with that key. The second ARC considers the RTI as a master key to good governance. Uh, but some issues persist or something like that based on the question. So can we go to the next slide? Yeah, reports and indices, again, good value addition. It depends all on your practice. Introductions and conclusions, it will help you save time, it will reduce the effort. And also sometimes it happens that we are unable to think of content very easily. If you're just writing the introduction, then तुम्हारे mind में वो confidence भी बन जाता है कि I have at least started the answer. Then recapitulation of remembered data becomes easier. And yes, absolutely right, essential for answer writing 7 minutes target, that is 3.5 minutes per page. Try not to exceed that. I mean, you don't have an option, you cannot exceed that. So next page. Mm, yeah, for example, like I was mentioning, the master key to good governance can be a good introduction for RTA. Again, topic wise, basic theme wise, especially in ethics case studies. Case studies can be divided into not मतलब finite number of themes, 7 or 8 theme. हर theme पे introduction conclusion एक general सा बना लो ताकि उसी को you can put it there. मतलब दिमाग नहीं लगाना उस टाइम पे. अगर मैच कर रहा है तो लिख दो. You ethics anyways you have to write a lot, and मतलब you're always racing against the clock that paper especially. So can we go to the next slide? Notes must have a collection of diagrams, flowcharts, etc. ठीक है, this is again common sense. Yeah, ethics में this is हर जगह this is useful. I mean, it helps you represent data in a more lucid form. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah, again, extension of what I mentioned. Next slide. Yeah, case studies, try to remember. Topic-wise case studies, that will again, it's a value addition. It will help you make the point you're trying to make. For example, SHG mein Kudumbashree is very famous. Everyone quotes it. Can we go to the
So
next slide?
I have a question at this point of view.
Yeah.
So say a lot of everybody knows this, okay? It's been going on for a while that flowcharts and maps are super important. So but nobody is also talking about the overuse or the random usage of it. So it might also have a, it can also backfire
Of course,
in a
of
lot
course,
of ways. So can you
of
please
course.
highlight those points also to our students?
That's a very delicate balance actually. How to, because you'll not know the answer to most of the question, uh, exact answer to most of the questions that are asked in mains. So you are going to use these value addition things to make your answer sound as if you have written a good one. Again, I can give you a very क्या बोलते हैं बना बनाया हुआ answer to the question that you asked, but the reality is it will come with practice.
Right.
There is no magic bullet for it. It will come with practice, that you will know what is the optimum usage of the data or optimum usage of these value addition points that I mentioned. You when to use it, when not to use it. So
Best part is just have somebody evaluate your answers or just go
yeah,
through your
yes,
notes.
of course.
And when you still have time to improve, right?
Yeah,
That's why
don't do
we
it
are
on the
also
last
running.
moment. Yeah,
That's why we are also running all these sorts of mentorship programs, and you get all the help that you require.
absolutely. Government schemes again very similar to what we have talked. Yeah, government schemes, mein na, especially the new ones that are coming in, try to do it in detail. See if it is based on some act, and then read the act, read the provisions of the act, because prelims is getting so unpredictable. For example, I am sure 90% of the people would not have read the National Food Security Act. There are so many provisions in that, जिसपे so many potent questions can come. Uh, the National Food Security Act is the base act for many of the schemes that are running in Government of India. One of them is PDS. But how many of you have read the National Food Security Act? Read it, and you will see that there is so much information that you would have missed in all this. क्या बोलते हैं, in the rat race that we mostly are during preparation. So reading of the bare acts, I would say, has become more important given how prelims is getting. So all the important bare acts, please read them. So can we go to the next slide? Yeah. Again, this is value addition examples, best practices. Then we go to the next slide.
I hope all the students are taking screenshots wherever you find it relevant, because we are just going through the slides.
Yeah.
Yes.
This one-liner notes for revision, this is, I mean, when one has achieved nirvana in the revision cycle, so they're able to just write the word and uh, uh, so basically, like I was saying, categorization, right? So one of these is shown here. Every time in current affairs, some weird sounding scientific names come up. So you can make a list of that. So by the end of your 1 year or 2 year of current affairs revision, you will have a list like this. So this helps you in revision. Just one sentence out of it will help. So can we go to the next one? Yeah, I'm unable to see this.
So these
Yeah,
are the
chartered act. Yeah, yeah. Again, table format helps you categorize things. Can we go to the next one?
I think we're at the
Yeah.
end of the example slides. So as I announced at the beginning, you are going to get a main study package, all the students that have attended this webinar. So these are the contents of that package. We're going to give it for free for all the webinar attendees.